thoughtfulness. This is the moon that you see every day. It's right above your head, and it probably never occurred to you that the key to understanding where you live is right in front of your eyes. I will show you now what it is that you're looking at and what you don't see. The image of the moon contains the map of the Earth. In fact, it looks like it's the only true map of the world, mirrored, distorted, and sketchy, but beyond a shadow of the doubt, perfectly accurate in reflecting all the continents and their right proportions. It takes a bit of time to see it and to get used to it because it requires a lot of internal effort to overcome a lifetime of conditioning and to believe that what you're being taught from birth is not true. But if you have an open mind and if you're curious about what you're looking at, you will realize that this is not the first time you've seen it and that somebody might know this truth too, but they don't want to disclose it to you. All you have are your eyes and your logic. And what they should be telling you now is that this is not a reflection, but an image pasted on the picture of the moon a long time ago. How do we know this? Because this map contains 2 continents in our known world that are no longer there. But for some unexplained reason, we have a lot of information about them. The one you're looking at used to be called Atlantis, and the other continent was Lemuria, Pan, or simply Mu, and there seems to be a lot of ancient and historical maps showing them exactly where they appear on the moon map. What's more interesting, if you look at the volcano and seismic activity and the map of the bottom of the ocean, you'll see that there is something down there that is no longer visible on the surface of the ocean, and this has been recently confirmed by mainstream media. They call it deceptively Icelandia or Zealandia. The truth is, it's an old continent that sunk, and it appears that it happened not that long ago, because in 2007 it was discovered that there are underwater structures indicating historical existence of cities in that region. But one of the most important proofs of the existence of these continents is an old map by an Italian cartographer named Urbano Monte. He created one of the biggest and most detailed maps of the old world, and it is very similar to the picture we see on the moon every day. The map shows both Lemuria and Atlantis, but it shows so much more than that. It is possible that it tells the true history of Earth, as the animals are located on completely different continents and they appear to have each place for themselves, not like today where they're all crammed together into one continent. What's interesting is that it shows allegedly mythical creatures that today are considered to be legends, like unicorns, phoenixes, dragons, griffins, centaurs, mermaids, and sea monsters. What's fascinating is that occasionally a creature like this will be washed up on the shore or a beach, like in the case of this seahorn monster that we see on the map here, and it validates the historical existence of them a long time ago. Also, there are creatures on the map that are known only to certain cultures, and we know about them from fairy tales, yet they're depicted on this map for some reason. This map and the image on the moon prove that this might be the true history of the Earth, and that this is what the continents really look like. Another very interesting aspect of that map is that there appears to be twice as much land outside of our known world, and this probably is the reason why for the last half a century, going outside of the Antarctic Circle has been not only illegal, but nearly impossible due to military presence over there. In this case, there's also a lot of historical proof that this land exists, and one of the main ones is the exploration of the Antarctic Plateau by Admiral Richard Byrd, who, while being a part of multinational expeditions, confirmed that there's a vast land outside of our known world. Another very important validation of this moon map is that it is not randomly aligned. It's highly accurate proportionally, geometrically, and mathematically. It aligns perfectly with the zodiac and the movement of star constellations. In fact, it appears that we live inside a highly complex calendar, and this is confirmed by multiple old zodiac dial clocks that show the map of our world, where Earth appears only to be a part of a bigger area. Using this map, we can calculate the real size of the Earth, we can work out the logic behind our time zones, seasons, ocean currents, wind patterns, and many more. It all starts making sense only when you use this moon map instead of the spherical map. An interesting aspect of this is the symbolism of the Latin cross and the crescent that have been used together throughout human history, and you can actually find it to this day. Apparently, this image contains so much more, as it might be a composite image, which means that it contains multiple images. The video producer behind this discovery also shows how the moon images correlate with our constellations and the depth of the ocean. I don't want to go into too much detail because a book could be written on this subject, but what I want you to understand is that this has serious logical and existential consequences for you and everyone on Earth. This map confirms that everything you know is a lie. Now you know that the moon is not a planetoid and the Earth is not a globe. There is no denying it. It is right there every night. This is the key to understanding that you live in a matrix of deception that is much larger than everything we have suspected. In fact, I can tell you now that there is so much more you need to learn about yourself in this reality. This is just the beginning. It shows that there's a serious and important war waged on your mind, your consciousness, your knowledge, and your way of life. Unfortunately, it also proves how little we understand and how difficult it is for us to connect the dots, even if they stare us in the face every night. I do not know how this moon picture was created, nor do I understand what the moon really is. This is all as new to me as it is to you, and I've known about this for only a few weeks. I don't understand fully what it all means, and I can only assume that we're opening the door to a huge vault of... I'm not asking you to figure out what all of this means, but what I'm asking you is to realize how big the deception is that you're a part of. You live a lie that is much bigger than this information. Are you slowly starting to see it? It's not about whether this is a globe or whether you live on a flat plane. Forget that. The real question is why the lies and who is behind this huge misinformation effort? Who are you that it is so important to make you forget about your history and your place in this world? You must be someone very important and very powerful, and the answers will be for you to find out. How much more is there right in front of our faces that we cannot see? How many more dots are there to connect? Somebody left us a message right above our heads, which means that every day we see a reminder that there are very powerful forces who either created or govern us, or possibly both. This might be the proof for the existence of the divine and the metaphysical. This discovery places you in the center of the world, your history and your existence. It means that this life is about you. You're not some random speck of dust flying through an endless universe. No, you exist in a world that was created for you, and you are meant to be here and now. This map proves that you matter. Thank you for watching.
I told him I was lost, and he told me to come and look into the lake. He told me to watch the water. What did I see, he asked. Myself, I replied. My reflection rippling and glistening in the moonlight. Mirror, mirror. Look beyond yourself, he said. What do you see? And there it was, just as it had always been. Mirror, mirror, way up high. Mirror, mirror in the sky. Mirror, mirror, oh how they lie. a distorted, unreliable yet steadfast reflection, a quasi-photographic image of both our known world and what is this? This is the unknown world. Thank you, Sturgios, for all your work. Sturgios has mapped out each continent to the minutest detail. His work is meticulous. He has mapped time zones, seasons, flight paths, and distances. The first true flat Earth map, and it is of utmost importance primarily due to the unknown landmass over here that Sturgios has named Terra Vista, after the Urbano Monte landmass of the same name. Why have we never heard of this land before? If the area here is our known world, then the realm is absolutely enormous. But wait a minute, Sturgios' presentation of our known world here maps the 5 prominent circles of latitude. We see the Arctic Circle, the tropics, the equator, and the Antarctic Circle. And Sturgios has mapped the sun's concentric journey around these circles of latitude, mapping seasons and time zones with the utmost precision and accuracy. So what's going on? The sun and moon cannot journey the entirety of the landmasses presented here because it would take too long. Does this landmass not have its own sun? Or perhaps the moon is not a map of the greater realm after all. But not so fast. We need to spend some time breaking down Sturgios' discovery here. How the image on the face of the moon was and is formed, when it was formed, and why are all questions that no one can answer. Nobody knows apart from the deceivers in higher places. But there are a lot of things hidden in plain sight that bring us a little closer to having a better understanding of this mysterious phenomenon. First of all is the nature of this image. It is a composite image. You are witnessing multiple images simultaneously when looking at the face of the moon. And these images are akin to a type of X-ray photography. There is also evidently a lot of distortion and optical illusion present in these images. No one can offer an explanation as to how this composite image has formed, nor has anyone ever provided a satisfactory answer as to what exactly the moon is. And rightly so. For if they could, we would not be in this mess in the first place. While most alternative views of the moon's true nature are rooted in nonsensical theories, such as those dreamt up by many deceivers and boys who never grew up, and who like the idea that aliens created the moon and there exist underground bases deep within its craters. There is one man, however, who spoke of the moon in the years leading up to the space race in the 60s, and who offered a very sensible insight. In 1965, Professor R. Foster challenged the corrupt scientific complex by stating that landing on the moon was an impossibility. It is an impossibility, according to Foster, because the moon is plasma and not solid. Here is what he said in an interview.
What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation. Scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature from what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen. Not on the moon. On Mars, on Venus, on other planets, yes, but the moon is definitely, as I assert, a plasma.
Like most that speak out, Foster was most likely controlled opposition. Notice that he says it is possible to land on other planets, but not the moon. It is likely that it was his task to introduce a half-truth, that the moon is a plasma phenomenon, only for his claims to be, quote, debunked and proved wrong, unquote, a few years later, after they staged the moon landings. Since Foster's claim, however, our own access to technology in recent years has allowed us to investigate the moon in more detail. And through this, we see over and over again varying instances of the moon behaving in a way that debunks a lie that it is a ball of rock. We see with our own eyes a semi-transparent moon, either at night or while there is still daylight. We see the sky through the moon. Sometimes it is even possible to see stars directly through the moon. Many have repeatedly demonstrated that moonlight is colder than the shade at night, and therefore it cannot be reflected sunlight as it possesses no residual warmth. We also know that spherical objects do not reflect light. By the laws of reflection, the light concentrates into a highlight point and does not reflect. You can also see frequent crescent moons when both the moon and the sun are within close proximity of each other, meaning that it is impossible for the sun to be casting the Earth's shadow onto the moon. So if the moon is a plasma phenomenon, then how could this be formed in the first place? It is in the appropriation and demonization of the symbol of the swastika that we find some very interesting insights. The existence of a vast amount of historical literature and symbolism suggestive of a vortex opening in the center of our world is too prevalent to be coincidental. We have looked at much of this before, but strangely enough, in the years preceding and during the complete demonization and eradication of the swastika's association with the vortex, we find some additional information regarding the central vortex that is astonishing. In addition to the appropriation of the swastika as their emblem, the Nazis were also obsessed with a very similar symbol, that of the Black Sun. Prior to the rise of the Nazi regime, there existed an occult secret society within Germany called the Thule Society, sometimes alternatively pronounced Thule, that had sub-factions within it. One of these sub-societies, we are told, was the Black Sun Society. Influenced by the Rosicrucians and other Hermetic groups, the Thule Society placed special emphasis on the superiority of an alleged Aryan race with innate mystical powers. The Thule Society derived its name from a mythical northern country in Greek legend. Thule was supposedly a land located furthest north. Others have called it Hyperborea. The Thule Society believed, we are told, that an elder race, the Aryans, colonized our Earth, and they were located within the center of our hollow Earth. Admiral Byrd, the military Antarctic explorer, also made reference to a hollow Earth with an entrance at the North Pole. The Thule Society also believed that the Black Sun was a big ball of primal materia that existed in the center of the Earth and emanated radiation in the form of real energy. This energy has many names. Some have called it Chi, astral light, odic forces, or Orgone. In 1933, the main architect of the event known as the Holocaust, Heinrich Himmler, acquired Wavelsberg Castle, a wonderful piece of old world infrastructure and technology. He supposedly remodeled the castle, and in doing so imprinted the symbol of the Black Sun into the marble floor of what came to be known as the General's Hall. Much of what has surfaced regarding the German secret societies before and during the Nazi regime is deliberate misinformation, carefully controlled with the sole intention of distraction and demonization. The misinformation regarding these societies has served to further fuel the UFO and alien agenda,